Order the Town of St. John Redevelopment Commission meeting for April 23rd, 2025. Can we have the roll call, Beth?
Mike Bovat.
Here.
Christian Jorgensen.
Present.
Ann Oster is absent. Wayne Pondinas.
Present.
Gerald Swets.
Present.
Phil Manasopoulos.
Here.
Joe Svetnoff.
Here.
And Beth Hernandez, present.
Item 3 on the agenda is public comment. I took up the sheet. I didn't see anybody for public comment for the Redevelopment Commission. Did anybody care to speak for the Redevelopment Commission? No public comment. Item 4, approval of minutes, March 26, 2025, meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. At this time, turn it over to Town Manager Billy.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the council is well aware, and most of the public is well aware, is that this council has taken the time to find a user for our blighted Kmart building. At this time, I'd like to call up Tom Everett, who's going to give a little bit of detail about the TIF district. He'll be followed by Andy Mauser and Jimmy Shanahan for the mail group.
And they're from the Barnes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Tom is from Barden and Thornburg.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Good evening. Tom Everett with Barnes and Thornburg in South Bend. So the resolution before the Redevelopment Commission this evening pledges 95% of the tax increment revenues generated from the Air Alchemist allocation area to the economic development revenue bonds of the town to fund a portion of the Jewel Osco project. The commission would retain the other 5% of those funds for use for any purposes under the redevelopment statute. These bonds would be issued in one or more series and purchased by the developer or a third-party purchaser, and the bonds would be solely payable from tax increment revenues that are generated by the project itself. The Redevelopment Commission previously, in February of this year, created a new TIF allocation area for the project after holding a public hearing. Would note that no funds or taxing authority of the town is pledged to these bonds, just the tax increment revenues, the incremental property taxes that are generated by the increased assessed value that will result from the project. The bonds would not exceed $3.5 million and would bear interest not exceeding 8%. If there were ever a shortfall in the tax increment revenues generated by the project, there would be no obligation of the town to make up that shortfall. The developer would bear that risk. These bonds would have no impact to the town's credit rating, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the pledge resolution, and I believe Mr. Mauser from Baker Tilly will present next.
I'd just like you to explain just a little bit more for the public that it only deals with the increase in value and not the base tax revenue. So nobody's losing any taxes or revenue or benefits from the taxes that have been paid. This is the increase in value. If the project doesn't go through, the developer's on the hook, and all entities who are recipients of the benefits of those taxes that we've been collecting are still going to receive them.
That's correct.
And maybe I put that in layman's terms enough for it, or if you'd like to expand upon it, please do.
Yes, you're correct. The base assessed value for the current former Kmart building, the taxes that are attributable to that current assessed value, those would still continue to be paid to the overlapping taxing units as it currently is. Now, the increase in the
County
assessed
schools.
Exactly, schools, the town itself. It is only, as you mentioned, the increase, the incremental increase, that is going to result from the investment in this property that will result in the assessed value of the property increasing. Only the difference, the increase, will be captured as tax increment revenues and paid toward the bonds.
Right. Would you agree with me, Counselor? The whole purpose of a commercial TIF is exactly this.
Yes, that
is
is
to attract a commercial enterprise that wouldn't necessarily come to our beautiful little town if it hadn't been for the development of a commercial TIF.
exactly. That is why TIF was set up. That is, the I in TIF stands for increment, and so that is, we're capturing the increment. That these are property taxes that would not otherwise be paid if not for the investment in the property itself.
Thank you.
So, one of the questions that I had concerned the $3.5 million. Does that come out of the town's pocket, or is the developer actually buying those bonds with the $3.5 million?
The bonds, either the developer or a third-party purchaser will purchase the bonds. Now, those bonds will only be paid from tax payments that are actually made by the developer. So no other funds of
Above
the
the
town.
original. I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm
Yes.
sorry, but just to clarify.
Yes, exactly. Above the base assessed amount, only the incremental amount
Right.
will be captured by the TIF and then used to pay debt service on the bonds.
And if it doesn't work, who's on the hook?
If there's a shortfall in the TIF revenues, then the developer will be on the hook for paying any difference.
Not the town or our townspeople.
That's correct.
That's the question I wanted answered. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment also that, like, for properties like this, and especially, this has been a kind of a hill to climb with the Kmart property. It's been dormant for 13 to 15 years, and I feel like we were pretty fortunate to get a developer, someone to come in, and this is, like you said and stated, the vehicle to do this, and as Christian has stated, and questions are being made, I think in layman's term, I think everybody can understand that there's no liability to the town for these bonds. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, agreed.
So, I mean, I think that's just really a win-win. These type of efforts enable somebody to come in and take under a task like this, and it keeps the taxpayers out of the equation. And we're glad that we're able to facilitate that.
I agree, and I think that Mr. President is being modest, because I have to hand it to my colleagues here, and Billy as well, for the aggressiveness with which they've sought the project from this holding company that's held this property for so many years for the killer Kmart, for those of you who remember exactly how far it went back and when it became vacant and why. It was an aggressive approach and a collective effort that was made. And I just want to thank my colleagues, all of them, and Billy for the efforts made to reach an agreement and finally get this blight taken care of in the town. And I think all of the town should be proud of it. It's the one thing I've heard when I was on the council previously for 4 years, 3.5, and then came back. I mean, it's always been the consistent item everybody mentions, everybody. And there's been many attempts, and it's finally been a success. And I mean, I thank you all for your efforts. So, and I think the town owes some gratitude as well to many of the members here and Billy as well for pushing that effort. So, it has nothing to do with you. I'm pontificating. But I just wanted to let the folks know.
Thank you for that, Christian. Tom, do you feel like you have anything else to add, or Wayne, do you have a comment?
Well, that was, I agree with Christian. When we went out, and Mike, we were out campaigning, that was the number one question. What are you going to do with Kmart? Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. And people didn't think we were going to get it done, but we got it done. It took a lot of hard work, like Christian said, with Billy and the board, everybody working on it. You guys and Dell, Phil, Baker Tilly, all of that, the clerk treasurer, everybody. And we're glad to get this in the past now. And we're glad to get it started. And thank you.
Any other comments or anything of necessity you think you need to bring up?
Would just reiterate, as I mentioned earlier, that this is a very traditional use of TIF of funding in Indiana throughout the state, and is very common. And you know, like I mentioned, why TIF was created in the first place, to incentivize this type of investment.
All right.
Yep.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Billy, you want to introduce?
I'd like to bring up Andy Mauser from Baker Tilly.
Thank you, and good evening. Again, Andy Mauser with Baker Tilly, serve as financial advisor to the town. I think as has been stated, this is a very traditional use of TIF. One of the most traditional tests of TIF creation is what's known as the but-for test, which is that new development would not occur but for the TIF incentive. And that's either TIF to provide incentive or direct infrastructure improvements. Obviously, with the building here that's sat vacant for a decade and a half, I think that, you know, certainly helps make the argument that TIF incentive here is what is needed to get a project like this over the hump. Maybe just to put some numbers to it as well, the current vacant Kmart facility currently is worth about $1.7 million in assessed value. That $1.7 million in assessed value pays roughly $28,000 a year in taxes, and of that $28,000, roughly $6,000 comes back to the town itself. The remaining portions of that $28,000 go to the school and the county are the largest components, but also the township and library as well. The goal of this project then is to, you know, create new development that will be worth hopefully somewhere in the range of $10 to $15 million. So again, you know, well above that $1.7 million that currently exists, and then increase that $28,000 in taxes, hopefully somewhere in the range to $200,000 to $300,000 a year. So again, it's just that increase above the $1.7 million and the $28,000 that's paid currently that will be captured by the TIF area. The rest of that $1.7 million that pays $28,000 into the overlapping tax base will continue to be paid. It will also protect the tax base to make sure, you know, if you had the building continue to deteriorate, that $1.7 million could otherwise certainly decrease in the future. So that, you know, protects what's being generated. As Tom mentioned, there's no risk to the town with the bond repayment. If bonds are purchased by a third party, any shortfalls would be the responsibility of the developer. And if bonds are purchased by the developer, then any shortfall would be the responsibility of the developer as the bondholder. And then the goal of any TIF project like this is to capture the TIF, provide incentives, infrastructure improvements, and then get that new development back to the tax base. So once the TIF area and the bonds have been repaid, that assessed value will return back to the tax base at that point in the future. So certainly glad to answer your questions on that as well. Otherwise, I know Jimmy Shanahan, I think, is here to just talk a little bit about the project from the developer's perspective as well.
I'm just amazed that it was still worth $1.7 million. I mean, it had to deteriorate quite a bit every year.
Right.
So we were losing money every year it sat vacant and dilapidated.
Right.
So best to catch it now rather than later.
And it is a large property, so that $1.7 million includes not only the vacant building, but also the land underneath the building, which is worth quite a bit. So.
Well, I appreciate the numbers too, Andy, and it's going to be nice that the town at some point will get approximately 50 times the income that it's receiving presently. So, I mean, that's a big win for the town. So, thank you for bringing forth the financial aspect of that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments?
And last but not least, Jimmy Shanahan from the DeMello Group.
Good evening. My name is Jimmy Shanahan. I'm with Taft Law, and I'm here on behalf of Air Alchemist, our client. Just want to be real brief to highlight a couple additional points, and then we can answer any specific questions about the project if you have any. But as you know, this property has sat vacant now for almost 13 or 14 years, the old Kmart, and we're proposing to put at least $25 million of investment in for new use as a grocery store. And we also want to just reiterate for your consideration that without this incentive that you're considering, this project wouldn't be occurring. So, that but-for test is being satisfied here, and we want to again thank you for your consideration of the incentive. If you decide to move forward, we're looking at 12 to 15 months of development time, starting around mid-July, at which time the development will be complete. So happy to take any specific questions that you may have about the project. Otherwise, again, thank you for your time and your consideration of this incentive.
July of this year?
Yes.
In
As
July
the-
of next year, it should
yeah.
be about ready, right?
Yeah, so 12 to 15 months from this July.
Wow. That's
You're-
an
you're
aggressive
getting-
schedule. Fantastic.
If they don't get it done, they don't make any money yet.
You're going to renovate most of the building, you're not going to tear it down. And I think Jewel is going to put in some money too, $5 million, $7 million to do their part on the inside.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the building, just rehab it. It's gonna look like a complete gut job, but it's keeping the structured steel, improving some other things. with the
And you're going to put in, that's like $31 million, $35 million into a project
the
that's
whole
just sitting there.
project
That's
with the
great.
tenant, yeah, with the tenant, and that doesn't include inventory or their FF&E. This is just their improvements on top of that, so we're really excited to get started.
And you're also going to put a service road in from the front of the store. It's going to go south to 96 so people can use that stoplight to get in and out, so it's a lot safer for the people that are going to be shopping there.
Right.
Or anybody in town that wants to go through the parking lot to get out, or they can use Kyleman. So
Exactly. There'll
it's
be a brand
it's
new
a win-win
access point
situation.
on the west side of Chase to access back to 96th Street, so it's gonna be much better accessibility-wise, and we won't have to make the dangerous left turn off the frontage road.
That's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Wayne.
Good safety for the town.
And putting in the road is a great benefit to the town as well.
And that road is going to cost them right around $500,000-$600,000 to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
That's exactly what the TIF is for, is to help get things like this done. That's what it's so needed for. We're excited to get started.
And we want you to get started, and if you could spread the word that this council and this group, clerk treasurer, the guy in the end there, the town manager, Billy, we're looking forward to people to come in. And we're grateful that we could get this going and get this moving. Like I said, it's been a hill to climb. It's been dormant. It's been there for many years, and these are all positives. We know that as a developer and what you've done, Dell, you have an excellent reputation. So we look forward to working with you, hopefully in the future also.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Again, I want to thank all you guys, Baker Tilly, Dell, Phil, your group. You were brought here so we could be transparent. There's too many rumors that were going out that this is going to take people's taxes and stuff, and it was all a bunch of hogwash. So now anybody that wants to watch this, they can see that we're as transparent as we can be. And they got any questions, they've probably all been answered. I think Christian covered that. Jerry covered a question of his. There should be no more questions, but if there is, they can watch this film once it's being recorded. So I thank you for the transparency. Thank you for coming.
Jimmy, attorney for Dell, thank you, and Dell, thank you for your comments. Without any other comments, then we'll move to item 5, ordinances and resolutions. A, consider resolution 2025-04-23A, a resolution of the St. John Redevelopment Commission pledging certain tax increment revenues from the St. John Economic Development Area 1 to the payment of certain economic development revenue bonds of the town of St. John for the Air Alchemist LLC project. And just to give a little clarity, this is for the old Kmart building the new Jewel project. That is what this is for. With that being said, do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-04-23A.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item B, consider Resolution 2025-04-23B, a resolution of the Town of St. John Redevelopment Commission regarding the setting of public hearings and authorizing the publication of notices of public hearings in connection with the Heartland Parks Southern Expansion Project, declaring an official intent to reimburse expenditures in all matters related thereto. And again, I would like to comment on this, that I think everybody is fairly aware and understands that this is the new amphitheater that's coming in, the splash pad, the development on the 40 acres that were donated to the town tax-free. So that's what this is in regards to. Do we have a motion for this resolution?
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-04-23B.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Reports and correspondence. Billy, anyone?
No reports at this time.
No reports, no correspondence. Item 7, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.